there you'll find that information. Well, let's turn now to Joe from Pell City. Joe, you've been so patient and we truly appreciate you holding for us. We love to help tonight. Please go right ahead with your question.
Okay, my father, he was stationed at Camp Lejeune in the mid-50s, all the way through the 60s when I was a child. He's dead now, but I had to have open heart surgery, and they said that my heart problems was a birth defect. Do I have any rights, and how would I go about getting them?
Wow, well, certainly so sorry to hear that, Joe, and certainly wish you the best going forward. Callie, what would be your advice for Joe?
So I can't give you a definitive answer right now, and the reason is I would really need to look at your medical records, particularly the actual diagnosis that then kind of paved the way for you to have that open heart surgery. If I were to see something like that connected it to a birth defect, it is possible. There are some claims that deal with either women having infertility issues or their children having birth defects from being, from the mother being pregnant during her time at Camp Lejeune and drinking that water and it getting into the baby. So there's definitely a chance, and what I would say is reach out to an attorney. If you have a chance to access those medical records yourself, that's going to be the first thing that any attorney is going to want to look at to see what that actual birth defect diagnosis is. So that's what I would recommend as the starting point for you.
Would going back and trying to pull his mother's death records benefit or help necessarily? Or is it more to his?
Right. So I would say that her records, or excuse me, his records are going to be the most pertinent to his claim. Now, certainly, if the mother died from something that has a causal link to Camp Lejeune, that could also be a potential claim. And that's the way that these cases are so interesting is, we have whole families that sometimes have been affected. So we may have one client that reaches out to us, but with us talking to them, we learned that, well, their father died from this, and then their mother struggled with this, and they were all living together in the same part of Camp Lejeune. So they all individually have claims. So certainly if the mother had something that would lend itself to being related to Camp Lejeune exposure, that would be a separate claim. But as far as his claim, really, if there were a record showing the diagnosis of whatever heart issue he was suffering from, that would probably be enough. Now, certainly, if for some reason he has the records that show that his mom had certain difficulties during her pregnancy, that would be great. But I don't know that most people have those records. And most hospitals wouldn't have retained them that long. Usually hospitals retain about 10, sometimes 15 years. So it's not a deal breaker to not have those records, but it could shed some light on